Alright, y'all, let's talk about the first chapter of The Hobbit, aka the ultimate intro to Bilbo Baggins, the most relatable I just wanna chill at home character of all time. This chapter? It's giving cottagecore meets surprise fantasy quest, with a little who invited all these people, energy on the side. So, picture this, Bilbo is a hobbit, which basically means he's a short, cozy little guy who's all about good food, a comfy home, and absolutely zero drama. He lives in the Shire, a picture-perfect spot that's like Stardew Valley on easy mode, lush fields, peaceful vibes, no sudden boss fights. Bilbo's got it made in his super cute hobbit hole, yes, that's what they call their houses, complete with a fully stocked pantry and an armchair that probably has his butt print perfectly worn into it. Life is good, and Bilbo has no intention of changing a thing. But then Gandalf shows up. Now, Gandalf is this tall, bearded wizard dude who pulls up to Bilbo's house like he's about to drop the world's weirdest group project on him. At first, Bilbo's polite but low-key panicking inside, like, who is this guy, and why does he look like he knows all my secrets? Gandalf starts talking about adventures, which is basically Bilbo's worst nightmare. Hobbits do not do adventures, it's in their DNA to avoid anything stressful. Bilbo tries to laugh it off like, haha, you've got the wrong hobbit, bro. No adventures here. But Gandalf isn't buying it. He's like, oh, you're definitely the one, my dude. And before Bilbo can process what's happening, Gandalf dips, but not before marking Bilbo's door with some sneaky magic graffiti. The next day? Absolute chaos. Bilbo wakes up to the doorbell ringing, and before he can even finish his second breakfast, yes, hobbits eat multiple breakfasts, don't we all wish we could, a bunch of dwarves start showing up one by one. These guys are loud, rowdy, and totally unbothered by the fact that they're invading Bilbo's peaceful bubble. First, there's Dwalin, then Balin, then like 10 more, Fili, Kili, Dori, Nori, Ori, Oin, Gloin, Bifur, Bofer, Bomber, and Thorin Oakenshield, their leader. Yeah, that's a lot of names, but don't worry, you'll figure out who's who eventually. Maybe. Bilbo is losing it. His nice, clean hobbit hole is suddenly filled with boots, beards, and dwarves casually raiding his kitchen like it's a free buffet. They're throwing down pies and ale like it's a party, while poor Bilbo's just standing there, hyperventilating. The dwarves don't care, though. They're here on a mission, and they're hyped. Turns out Gandalf invited them because they're planning to take back their mountain home and treasure hoard from a dragon named Smaug. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Thorin, the leader of the squad, is the most serious of the bunch. He's got main character energy, complete with a tragic backstory about how his family lost the mountain to Smaug. He's basically the Aragorn of this story, proud, brooding, and not here to mess around. The other dwarves are a mix of personalities, some are chill, some are jokesters, and Bomber's just here for the snacks. Respect. And then there's Gandalf, sitting back and watching all this unfold like the puppet master he is. He finally drops the bombshell, Bilbo is supposed to be their burglar. Yep, you heard that right. Bilbo, I've never stolen anything in my life, Baggins is supposed to sneak into a dragon's lair and help these dwarves get their treasure back. The dwarves are skeptical at first, like, this guy? He doesn't even look like he's been outside his yard. But Gandalf vouches for him, saying Bilbo's got some hidden potential. Meanwhile, Bilbo is internally screaming. He's not a burglar, he doesn't do adventures, and he definitely doesn't do dragons. But Gandalf isn't taking no for an answer, and before Bilbo knows it, they're rolling out maps, talking about secret doorways, and laying out their whole plan. It's like being recruited for a Dungeons and Dragons campaign when all you wanted was to stay home and vibe. By the end of the night, Bilbo is completely overwhelmed. The dwarves are still partying, singing songs about reclaiming their home, and hyping themselves up for the journey ahead. Thorin gives this big, dramatic speech about honor and revenge, and everyone's cheering. Bilbo, meanwhile, is sitting there like, how did I get roped into this? He tries to imagine himself sneaking past a dragon, and all he can think is, yeah, I'm gonna die. But here's the thing, deep down, something stirs in Bilbo. Maybe it's Gandalf's words about hidden potential, or maybe it's the tiniest spark of curiosity buried under all his anxiety. Whatever it is, it's enough to keep him from kicking the dwarves out. The chapter ends with Bilbo on the verge of stepping into a life he never wanted, but maybe, just maybe, needs. So, there you have it. Chapter 1 of The Hobbit, a masterclass in dragging an introvert out of their comfort zone and into a wild, dragon-filled journey. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning, and Bilbo's about to level up in ways he never imagined. Alright, let's talk chapters 2 and 3 of The Hobbit. This is where Bilbo's peaceful, snack-filled life fully crumbles, and he gets dragged into the first few episodes of what's about to be the wildest, most dragon-infested road trip ever. If Chapter 1 was the setup, Chapters 2 and 3 are where the adventure button gets smashed, and Bilbo realizes this isn't going to be a chill walk in the park kind of deal. So, Chapter 2 kicks off with Bilbo waking up late, thinking maybe this whole burglar life was just a bad dream. But nope, his house is empty, the dwarves are gone, and Gandalf left a hey, hurry up, note like a passive-aggressive text. Bilbo panics, grabs what he can, and bolts out the door to catch up with the squad. Spoiler, this is basically the last time he's going to see his cozy hobbit hole for a while. It's giving major forgot my homework and now I'm running to class energy. Once he catches up, the crew's already deep into the vibe of adventuring, walking, talking, and probably dunking on Bilbo for being the new guy. They make their way through the woods until night falls, and here's where things go sideways. The dwarves spot a fire up ahead, and everyone's like, oh, cool, maybe someone's making s'mores. But Gandalf's mysteriously MIA, so naturally, they send Bilbo to investigate. You know, because who better to handle potential danger than the guy who's never been on an adventure before? So Bilbo creeps up on the fire, all stealth mode like he's trying to sneak past guards in Skyrim, and he finds, surprise, 3 massive trolls. These dudes are not friendly, and they're definitely not roasting marshmallows. They're arguing about what to eat, and honestly, they're as dumb as they are hungry. Bilbo, trying to prove he's got what it takes to be a burglar, decides to pickpocket one of them. Big mistake. The troll catches him faster than you can say bad stealth roll, and suddenly Bilbo's in serious trouble. The trolls, Tom, Bert, and William, start arguing about what to do with him. Roast him? Squash him? Turn him into stew? Bilbo's terrified, and honestly, same. Things only get worse when the dwarves show up to rescue him, but instead of a glorious save-the-day moment, the trolls grab the entire squad like they're collecting Pokemon cards. Just when it looks like everyone's about to become troll dinner, Gandalf finally makes his grand reappearance. He pulls some wizard-level trickery, mimicking the trolls' voices and convincing them to argue until dawn. Pro tip, trolls turn to stone in sunlight, so when the first rays hit, the trolls freeze mid-debate. Gandalf, you sneaky MVP. After the chaos, the group raids the trolls' cave and finds treasure, weapons, and some much-needed supplies. Bilbo grabs a tiny sword, spoiler, it's gonna become a big deal later, and everyone's like, alright, this wasn't so bad. But Bilbo's already questioning all his life choices. Chapter 3 mellows out a bit as the gang heads toward Rivendell, a place that's basically the elf version of a luxury spa retreat. They've been trekking through the wilderness, so when they see the gorgeous valley, they're all like, finally, some good vibes. This is where we meet Elrond, the elf lord who's chill, wise, and rocking some serious team mentor energy. He welcomes the crew, gives them food and shelter, and helps them decipher some important stuff. The big takeaway here is the map and key that Thorin's been carrying. Elrond takes a look and reveals some hidden moon runes on the map, special writing that only shows up under moonlight. The runes basically say there's a secret entrance to the Lonely Mountain where Smaug the dragon is chilling that can only be opened on a specific day. It's a major you found the quest objective moment, and Thorin's hyped. The gang's got direction, but Bilbo? He's still low-key wondering if he can just sneak back to the Shire while no one's looking. By the end of Chapter 3, the group is rested, rearmed, and ready to dive deeper into the journey. Gandalf's scheming, Thorin's plotting, and Bilbo's, well, trying not to have a panic attack. So far, this adventure's been a mix of trolls, treasure, and elf hospitality, but you can feel the tension building. Smaug's out there, and this crew is heading straight for the chaos. Let's just hope Bilbo's ready, because things are about to get even more intense. Alright, let's talk chapters 4 and 5 of The Hobbit, where things go from slightly uncomfortable hike to full-blown survival mode. Bilbo and the crew face off against goblins, dark caves, and the creepiest creature you'll ever meet. It's like a mashup of a dungeon crawl in Dungeons & Dragons and the moodiest level of a survival horror game. So, Chapter 4 starts with the squad heading toward the Misty Mountains. Sounds epic, right? Except the mountains are giving total you're not welcome here energy. Storm clouds roll in, and Gandalf is like, we need to find cover ASAP. Luckily, they stumble across a cave. Thorin's all, perfect, let's crash here, and everyone sets up camp, grateful to be out of the rain. But this is Middle-earth, and if something seems too good to be true, it definitely is. Turns out, this cave isn't some random Airbnb. It's a goblin hangout, and the squad walked right into the middle of it. Goblins come swarming out of secret tunnels like they hit the respawn button, snatching up the dwarves and Bilbo before they can even grab their weapons. Gandalf? Vanished again. Classic Gandalf. The goblins drag everyone into their underground lair, which is basically the worst rave you've ever seen, dark, gross, and filled with angry creatures. The goblin leader, who's as charming as a boss battle you're totally underleveled for, starts interrogating them. He's not thrilled to find Thorin's sword, Orcrist, which was used by elves back in the day to slay goblins. The goblins call it the Goblin Cleaver, a name that screams, you don't belong here, buddy, and they're ready to throw hands, or swords. Just when it seems like game over, Gandalf pulls off a surprise save. He shows up like the ultimate support class, wielding his sword Glamdring, which the goblins call Foehammer, because clearly swords need dramatic names. Gandalf goes full AoE attack mode, blasting light everywhere and cutting down goblins left and right. In the chaos, the squad escapes deeper into the tunnels. That brings us to Chapter 5, and things get real. Bilbo gets separated from the group and wakes up alone in the pitch-black tunnels. He's panicking, fumbling around, and straight up regretting every life choice that brought him here. Then he meets Gollum. Let me paint you a picture. Gollum is like if a feral cat, a hoarder, and a video game boss all merged into one unsettling package. He's got glowing eyes, a raspy voice, and a vibe that screams, do not trust this dude. But Bilbo doesn't have much of a choice. Gollum is blocking his only exit, so it's time for a little 1v1 showdown, but instead of weapons, they're fighting with riddles. Yeah, you heard me, a riddle contest. It's like Bilbo accidentally clicked the dialogue puzzle option in a game menu. The rules are simple. If Bilbo wins, Gollum shows him the way out. If Gollum wins, well, let's just say Bilbo would end up as dinner. They go back and forth with riddles that sound like something straight out of a Hollow Knight lore entry. Bilbo's barely holding it together, but he keeps guessing right, and honestly, it's kind of impressive. Gollum, on the other hand, is getting twitchy and frustrated, which is never a good sign. Then Bilbo pulls off the ultimate clutch move. Running out of actual riddles, he accidentally asks, "What's in my pocket?" He's referring to the small ring he found earlier in the tunnels. Gollum doesn't know it's a question at first and freaks out, guessing wrong 3 times in a row. Technically, this means Bilbo wins, but Gollum? Not a fan of losing. He flips out, muttering about his precious, the ring, and piecing together that Bilbo has it. Fun fact, this isn't just any ring. It's the one ring, the same one that messes up everyone's life in The Lord of the Rings. But Bilbo doesn't know that yet. All he knows is that when he slips the ring on, he turns invisible. Which is great timing, because Gollum is losing it and ready to attack. Using the ring, Bilbo sneaks away, narrowly dodging Gollum and escaping into the tunnels. Gollum screams and chases after him, but Bilbo uses his smarts, stealth, and sheer luck to find the exit. He even pulls off a sneaky leap over Gollum at one point, like he's in a boss escape sequence in Dark Souls. By the time he makes it outside and reunites with the dwarves and Gandalf, Bilbo is shaken but alive, and Loki's starting to feel like he might have what it takes to survive this adventure. So yeah, chapters 4 and 5 are all about Bilbo leveling up from lost hobbit to scrappy survivor. He's still out of his depth, but now he's got a magic ring, some newfound courage, and a tiny spark of confidence. Things are heating up, and this is just the beginning of his glow-up. Alright, let's get into chapter 6 of The Hobbit. If chapters 4 and 5 were all about surviving goblin drama and creepy caves, chapter 6 is where Bilbo and the crew hit the respawn point but immediately get tossed into another chaotic side quest. No rest for the weary, right? So, Bilbo escapes Gollum's lair with his new invisibility ring, stumbles out of the misty mountains, and reunites with the squad. And when I say stumbles, I mean he literally shows up all raggedy and sneaky, like that one friend who survives the boss fight when everyone thought they rage quit. The dwarves and Gandalf are shook to see him alive. Thorin's all, "Oh, look who decided to show up." But Bilbo doesn't spill the tea about the ring, he just casually flexes how he snuck past goblins like he's a rogue main in Skyrim. Everyone's impressed, though Thorin hides it under his usual grumpiness. Now that they're all back together, it's time to bounce. The group dips from the mountain area, but this being Middle-earth, they can't just walk away peacefully. Enter the wolves, or rather, wargs. These aren't your basic scary dogs, they're evil wolves with major NPC energy. Turns out, the wargs are vibing in the forest, plotting their next evil move with some goblins, because of course goblins are still in the mix. The squad? Totally uninvited to this party. The wargs catch their scent, and it's game on. Everyone scrambles up trees like it's a platformer level where the floor is insta-death. Gandalf, being the squad's designated OP character, starts chucking flaming pine cones at the wolves. Yeah, flaming pine cones. It's giving Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild vibes, where everything is a weapon if you try hard enough. Gandalf setting the forest on fire, the wolves are howling, and the whole scene is chaos with a capital C. But just when it seems like things can't get worse, the goblins show up. They're all, "Yo, thanks for the fire, Gandalf. Mind if we use it to roast you alive?" The squad is seriously outnumbered, and it's looking grim. Like, this might be the moment where you put the controller down and Google, how to beat warg/goblin combo. Then the eagles arrive. And when I say eagles, I mean the giant, majestic, we solve every problem at the last second kind. They swoop in like Gandalf called in an airstrike. The eagles snatch up the squad and fly them out of danger, leaving the goblins and wargs howling in frustration below. Honestly, it's the ultimate fast travel escape. Shout out to these giant birds for always being the real MVPs of Middle-earth. The eagles drop everyone off on a giant rock far from danger. The squad is safe, for now, but also very aware that they just survived yet another near-death experience. Bilbo's sitting there like, is this what adventuring is? Just constantly almost dying? Thorin is still in his feelings, but even he has to admit they got lucky. Chapter 6 ends with the crew licking their wounds and gearing up for whatever fresh nonsense awaits them next. Bilbo might still feel like the newbie of the group, but surviving goblins, wargs, and a fiery forest has to count for something, right? Either way, the adventure rolls on, and Bilbo's slowly proving he's more than just a regular hobbit from the Shire. Alright, chapter 7 of The Hobbit is where things get straight up wild and kind of cozy at the same time, like if you accidentally clicked on a random side quest that turns into a whole vibe. It's a mix of weird animals, cryptic dudes, and finally, a little RNR for our squad. Let's dive in. So, the squad just got dropped off by the eagles, and Gandalf's all like, good news, we're not dead. Bad news, I've got somewhere to be soon, so let's make moves. They head into a dense, dark forest that's giving serious Elden Ring energy, everything feels alive, and not in the friendly way. Bilbo's over here questioning his life choices again because hobbits and creepy forests are not exactly a match made in heaven. Eventually, they roll up to a house that belongs to this dude Bjorn, who is, well, complicated. Imagine if a lumberjack got fused with a bear and then added a sprinkle of don't talk to me unless I like you energy. That's Bjorn. Gandalf, who's basically the squad's smooth-talking bard, comes up with this elaborate plan to introduce them. He doesn't just knock and say, hey, can we crash here? Oh no, he drags it out like it's a Danganronpa trial, bringing the dwarves in 2x2 while spinning a tale about their adventures so far. Bjorn's into it, he loves a good story and hates goblins, so when Gandalf mentions they took down a bunch of those, Bjorn's like, alright, you can stay. Bjorn is a total enigma, though. He's a skin changer, which means he can literally turn into a bear. Yep, full-on beast mode. He also has animal servants, yes, servants, who help him around the house. Picture goats setting the table and ponies bringing snacks. It's like Beauty and the Beast, but make it Middle-earth. While they're staying with Bjorn, they finally get a chance to breathe. He hooks them up with food, drink, and some solid advice about their journey. Bjorn warns them about Mirkwood, the next big challenge on their itinerary. Spoiler, Mirkwood is no walk in the park. It's dark, dangerous, and full of things that want to eat you or drive you insane. Basically, it's like playing Minecraft on hardcore mode but with spiders the size of small cars. Bjorn's advice? Don't drink the water, stay on the path, and don't die. Super encouraging. After a few days of rest and feasting, shout out to Bjorn's honey cakes, which sound like the ultimate gamer snack, the squad gears up to leave. Bjorn even loans them ponies to make the journey easier because nothing screams onward to danger like riding adorable ponies into the unknown. Gandalf is still with them at this point, but he's dropping hints that he won't be sticking around much longer. Classic Gandalf move. When they finally set out, the mood shifts. They're leaving Bjorn's cozy, slightly chaotic sanctuary behind and heading toward Mirkwood, which looms in the distance like the final level of a game you've been low-key dreading. Gandalf gives them one last pep talk before pulling the ultimate, alright, I'm out, good luck, move and dipping. Thorin's like, seriously, bro? But Gandalf is already gone. So, Chapter 7 is a mix of world-building, squad bonding, and major foreshadowing. It's the calm before the storm, giving Bilbo and the gang a chance to catch their breath while reminding them, and us, that the real challenges are still ahead. Bilbo's stepping up more and more, but you can tell he's still not ready for what's coming. Mirkwood awaits, and things are about to get a whole lot darker, literally and figuratively. So, buckle up, folks, because Chapter 8 of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien is one heck of a trip. We're talking about Bilbo Baggins, our short king, trying to survive one of the creepiest levels in this real-life RPG. After slogging through the Misty Mountains and escaping from Gollum's dank cave with that OP magic ring, Bilbo and the dwarf squad, led by Thorin Oakenshield, the original brooding leader archetype, are now wandering through the forest of Mirkwood. But let me tell you, Mirkwood isn't some chill place like an enchanted forest from a Disney movie. Oh no, this is like the upside-down version of that, straight out of a cursed DLC. The trees are massive and gnarly, like they've been hitting the gym but forgot to moisturize. The vibe? Total horror survival game. The squad's already out of snacks, morale's at an all-time low, and it's dark 24/7. And not the cozy, hoodie-wearing, pumpkin spice latte kind of dark. I'm talking pitch black, can't tell if that's a branch or a spider leg kind of dark. Not ideal. At first, everyone's trying to keep it together, like, we've got this, just stick to the path. Gandalf's long gone, probably chilling at some wizard Airbnb with room service, so it's up to Thorin to lead. But spoiler, Thorin's leadership style is less captain of the volleyball team and more grumpy dad on a road trip. The dwarves are hangry, tired, and honestly, kind of useless. Even Bilbo, who's usually the moral support guy, is struggling. But hey, at least he's got his shiny new one ring, which is basically the Elden Ring of this universe, minus the game-breaking bosses. So there they are, stumbling around in the dark, when they start seeing lights flickering through the trees. Like, straight-up fairy lights. Naturally, everyone's thinking, finally, maybe we'll find some food and chill vibes. But nah, this is Mirkwood. Chill vibes don't exist here. Turns out, these lights are coming from elves, and not the friendly I make toys for Santa type. These are woodland elves, and they're throwing a forest rager. Picture something out of a Studio Ghibli fever dream, mystical, eerie, and definitely not for the uninvited. The squad, of course, tries to crash the party. They're desperate, okay? But every time they get close, the lights vanish like someone hit the disable view distance setting. Then the elves reappear somewhere else, and the dwarves are left standing there like clueless NPCs. This happens not once, not twice, but 3 times, and by the 3rd time, you can feel the party getting real annoyed with these dwarf randos messing up their vibe. By this point, everyone's so done that they just flop onto the forest floor like defeated Sims. That's when things go from bad to are you kidding me right now? Because guess who shows up? Giant spiders. Yeah, these 8-legged nightmares are straight out of a Demon Slayer episode. They're not your average garden variety spiders either. These bad boys are the size of cars, and they talk in this creepy we're gonna eat you and enjoy every bite language. Cue the dwarves getting webbed up faster than Bilbo can yell, not again. Now, you'd think Bilbo, the certified lightweight of this squad, would just bail. But no, our dude is stepping up. He whips out Sting, his sword that's basically the fantasy version of a lightsaber, and goes full-on Spider Slayer mode. For real, Bilbo's been low-key leveling up this whole journey, and this is his power-up scene moment. He sneaks up on the spiders, uses his ring to turn invisible, stealth mode, activated, and starts slicing webs left and right like he's playing Fruit Ninja. The dwarves are all cocooned and freaking out, but Bilbo handles it like a pro. And here's the thing, this fight changes Bilbo. Dude's been the tag-along hobbit up until now, but suddenly, he's the main character. After taking out a bunch of spiders, he's feeling pretty good about himself. Like, you know that moment in a game where you finally beat the mini-boss and think, maybe I'm actually cracked at this? That's Bilbo right now. He even names his sword Sting, which is kind of a flex. But hold up, the drama's not over yet. Bilbo frees the dwarves, but they're still stuck in the middle of this spider-infested death trap. The squad tries to fight their way out, and it's all chaos, spider legs flying, dwarf screaming, Bilbo doing his best Tanjiro impression. Eventually, they manage to escape, thanks to Bilbo being clutch with his ring and some well-timed sword swings. After they finally get to safety, everyone's like, wait, who even are you, Bilbo? The dwarves are shook that their soft little burglar just went full beast mode. Even Thorin, who's usually about as expressive as a brick wall, is like, respect. Bilbo doesn't tell them about the ring, though, because he's not trying to flex too hard. Gotta keep that humble protagonist energy, you know? By the end of the chapter, the squad's still lost, still hungry, and still kind of hopeless, but there's a shift. Bilbo isn't just the comic relief anymore, he's a legit MVP. It's like he finally realized he's not just along for the ride, he's got the skills, the courage, and maybe a bit of a dark side, thanks, ring, to survive this wild adventure. So yeah, Chapter 8? Total game changer for Bilbo. It's creepy, it's intense, and it's got all the makings of a late-night horror stream you can't look away from. Plus, who doesn't love a good underdog glow-up? Bilbo might still be small, but after this, he's feeling huge.